everybody, this is the Drop the Beat podcast. My name is Charles Laurita.
And I'm Will Sarver.
And we want to thank you guys so much for listening to us beat off this week, as you guys do every week. We had a smidge of a little hiatus there just with everything going on, but I think we're back to beating it more consistently. Will, what about you? How have you been holding up? It's been a while. I missed you. I missed your face. Missed your smell.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're kind of synced back up with the our beat off schedule. It felt weird being so distant and not. Yeah, finally, I think our cycles are now synced.
Yeah, so we can get back to more consistent beating, which I think is good. And I think everyone misses us beating off in their presence, I guess.
In a way, yeah.
But that's,
legally.
Yeah, but yeah, well, no, it's fine. It's good. But now we're back, and that's great. So, what have you been up to lately with everything going on? Still, you been going crazy over there, or what?
Yes, definitely going crazy. Losing my mind. I need help. So, the usual hanging in. How you doing? Huh?
Not bad. I'm ready to jump off my house, but other than that, it's great. It's really great.
I won't talk you down, so
okay.
Have fun.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm just happy all of the cables for recording can reach all the way up here on my roof. It's kind of nice.
Perfect.
Just trying.
I'm getting a little wind, little windy.
It's not bad. I have the pop filter on. But anyway, before I jump off my roof, we have a question that someone wrote into. I'm not really going to jump. It's going to be more of a fall probably. But I digress from me breaking my ankles. We have someone wrote in a question, and if y'all didn't know this at home, if you have a question for us to answer in a long format kind of thing like this, or a topic, you can go to charleslorita.com/contact, and there's a little form you can fill out with your name, where you're from, and then your question. And if we pick your question, we will send you a free Mischief shirt, which people have been responding very, very well to that, because it's free clothing, and our shirts are not lame and not cheap, and they're cool, and people will like you.
Oh, they're nice.
You know?
Silky smooth, baby.
Yeah, you walk that into a socially distanced setting with your mask on, of course, maybe your Mischief mask and a shirt.
Ooh.
Oh my God, you just panties gonna be flying from whichever gender you prefer. It'll happen. Trust me, I'm a professional.
Undergarments will be through the air.
A big old girdle gonna go flying wherever you are. Dude, is that cool? Is that? I don't really know.
Somebody's
understand.
into it somewhere.
There's some weird guy going to the nursing homes. Anyway, we have a question this week written in from Ron from New York.
Oh.
Yeah.
New York, baby.
Oh, baby. With all them skyscrapers and all the good stuff. That's... He didn't say which, but I'm just assuming New York City, but it's probably not, because New York is a very large state. But Ron writes in, this is actually a really interesting topic here, because we've been too happy for a while, damn it, and we're going to get sad. Let's do it.
We got to bring this down.
Yeah, what nonsense, being all smiley and shit. So anyway, Ron writes in, due to everything going on in the current world, I've been noticing that I've been turning to music more and more while I've been in a rut. There was a little dramatic pause I did there.
I like
why
that.
Is music? Thank you. Why is music so connected to emotion, and why do people fall in and out of depression when they're more artistically driven?
Ooh.
And that's a spicy one right there. So right off the bat, the one thing I can see is, whether you're artistically driven or not, music does have a very big part in dealing with emotion, whether it's positive or negative. But the one thing I've always felt is, being more artistically driven, you kind of perceive things a lot differently when it comes to, emotion or anything like that. I mean, it's that whole thing where it's like, I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to show you in song. It's one of those kind of things where it's like, that's what we turn to for expression, as opposed to just outwardly saying it. So I really feel like, already being wired that way, people who are more connected to music probably have a different outlook on emotion and things like that. And it seems like, I don't know, this is just me, but it seems like our... okay, never mind then. Well, we'll see you guys next week. No, but I, being a musical person, I know you're obviously fairly connected to music, or so you've been leading me on to think.
I dabble in it.
Yeah, I was going to say. It seems like that when things get heavy, it hits us a lot harder, I think, and we're more prone to falling in and out of ruts here and there, dare I say depressions. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you ever notice it kind of, not that we're weaker emotionally, but I think we kind of perceive it differently because of the artsy fartsy nature of our brain? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
and I did say artsy. I did say fartsy in there.
Yeah, that's a scientific term.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's an interesting point to make, and I don't know if it's, like you mentioned, I don't know if it's how we're wired. And how, we do look at things a little bit differently, being in the art side of it and the creative side of it. Or I think, we've mentioned this on the podcast before about, depression and all of that. It's just, I think that kind of ties into with the industry and the field of work that we chose, because there's a high probability of it in a way, because it's ruthless business. And it's tough to stay positive if you're really struggling with it, because it is a grind. And we were just talking about this, recently about, playing the game of social media and, putting in all the effort and, seeing very little return on the investment, and it's difficult. It's tough. But
yeah, I mean, being in a visual medium like this, and no one sees what you're doing, that'll get you sad real quick. All that work.
Exactly.
For nothing.
Yeah, and it just, it's music and emotions are tied together in a lot of ways. I mean, people, I think most people probably. I'm not a songwriter. You definitely are. You can speak on this, but it's, I think it's a writing and songwriting and things like that is a emotionally driven task. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I don't write. I'm just a caveman beating on things.
I think 1,000%, and that's why a lot of people, they'll think, oh, you're just a songwriter. You just sit down and you do, and it's like,
girl, or boy.
Yeah. Oh, I like you got that in there. Sometimes, yeah, man. Sometimes I'm just not feeling it, and it's not something you just kind of do and turn the switch on. It really is. Music is feeling, and for me, it's the most important aspect of music is the feeling. Whether it's the feel of going, because that's a fat ass groove, or the feeling of what goes into it, or anything like that. So it's kind of like, if you're not feeling it, and it's not there. I mean, I've gone long gaps in time without writing anything or coming up with any kind of musical idea, just because it's not there. It's not something I want to force. And it's just that lack of direction, and just not feeling like being in a rut or being in a depression kind of thing. Because I think the one thing I've really realized with music, and even from a listening standpoint, and I know this isn't just me, and I know there's been a lot written on this kind of topic, or at least something I've come to realize recently, is any other aspect in the world, when you're sad or you're depressed or you're trying to seek happiness, you usually go to the opposite of whatever you're feeling. You're down in the dumps, and you need a pick-me-up, so you go do something fun with someone, or you try to, eat your favorite food, or anything like small like that kind of give you pick-up. Where music, we wallow in whatever emotion we're feeling. If we're happy, we listen to upbeat music. If we're sad, we go even deeper with that, and we listen to really, really sad stuff, which is very strange. So it's almost kind of like you find comfort and healing in associating with it. And I always thought that was very strange. It's really literally only music is the only thing I could ever think of something, to have that effect, which is so weird when you kind of put it out there, where it's like, yeah, I'm very sad, I'm not in a great place, and I'm just going to listen to The Cure, you know, or I'm going to listen to something really depressing and really sad. And I find myself doing that all the time. And I outwardly might not be like, oh, I'm going through a small depression or I'm in a rut. But then I realize, like, oh, this is a lot of sad music I'm listening to. Oh, boy. And then it kind of hits you and it's like, oh, man, I'm not doing so hot right now. You know, just feeling is just such a huge thing. I mean, have you ever kind of caught yourself doing one of those things, whether it might not be in like a crazy, you know, extent like that, but have you ever kind of realized something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I exactly how you put it is, you know, I kind of listen to certain things depending on my mood a lot, or you know, unless it's for, you know, educational purposes, or if I gotta, you know, listen for, you know, audition or something like that. But you know, it is emotionally driven choice sometimes, and you know, and it's but it also comes, you know, you get in, sometimes that stems into a rut of listening to very similar things or playing very similar things, and that is tough to get out of sometimes, especially playing wise, because we're creatures of comfort, you know, and we want to do what we know best, or you know, we tend to listen to just some of our, you know, a few of our favorites, and it really gets tough to get out of that. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges for me, and I'm always trying to fix and change up, is getting out of, you know, a playing rut in a way.
Yeah,
I find myself playing the same things, at least to me, and trying to switch that up is tough. But for me, how I switch it up, or at least attempt to, is it comes from listening. I'm listening to the same things, so I'm gonna therefore play the same thing.
Oh, that's a great point, man. I never thought about that, because if you know, I'm in a rut or depression kind of thing, and I do happen to be writing, it very much affects that. So I never really thought of that dimension. Look at you over there being all just
whatever,
getting it. You got it. But it's interesting, because I think the one thing to really take from it that I've always taken is, you can fake happiness no problem, but no one ever fakes sadness, I guess. I know this is like oddly deep, but the thing too I always want to say is sad emotion isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you can't fake sadness. Everyone fakes happiness. Everyone pretends to be happy sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Fake laugh at a joke that sucks. I mean, that's essentially the
easiest
way to fake happiness. Yeah, I do it literally.
Yeah, especially on this podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think any of this is funny at all, and I just, you know, it's like, ha 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 ha, that's great. Well, that's really good. Oh, we will. Yeah, I always know what to say. But people seldom fake sadness, because you really, unless they want, like, you know, attention, which is awful, and you shouldn't do that, because it's, you know, upsets people. But
sicko.
But yeah, people don't really fake sadness. You fake happiness. But sadness is just so much more natural, I suppose, because it's, you know, just
it's harder to cover up.
It's harder to cover up. It's very raw. But the thing too, it's sadness isn't a bad thing. I mean, some of the best pieces of music in history ever written were channeled from that. So it's, you know, the whole thing I always say is try to use that to your advantage if you're writing, because, man, that's such a big thing where it's, you know, you would never have some kind of a super power ballad that's, you know, in a minor key and be super happy about it. You'd have to be feeling that kind of thing, because again, that is the most important aspect of all of this. And when music doesn't feel, you're kind of missing out on one of the biggest pieces of it. So I think channeling that, what we would, you know, say negative emotional response, but look at it as, I guess, your friend or your writing partner, and be like, wow, yeah, I'm not in the best place right now, but I can kind of put it out how I am, and it's like you could really, really find some like impressive stuff. I mean, that's, you know, 90% of a lot of the stuff I listen to is in minor keys, and it's, you know, probably written in not a darker and written in not a great place, but it's like you get some really good raw stuff from there, because, like, again, you can fake happiness. You can fake a happy song. You don't fake sad songs, which is, I just think, very interesting. It's the reason why all my songs are in, minor keys. I have one song in a major key, and everything else is minor keys. I don't know if that says anything about me personally, but I just like how they sound better. I like the feel better. I always kind of gravitated to that more. It just kind of was like, it's so raw, and it's just you could do more to it. But that's just me over here.
That's just you. But we kind of touched on that a little bit on the last episode with, you or I mentioned because it was about what's going on in the pandemic and all that, and we mentioned there might be some really good things that are going to be written and coming out of
very true
due to the pandemic, people being home, the hardship, and all that. And it's exactly what you just said. It's there's definitely this is a time of sadness and for a lot of folks, but there might be some really good stuff that's going to be written out of from all of us. But
no, I mean you're exactly right with that, and that's I always kind of get on myself when it's with everything going on. Obviously, everyone is emotional and everything with just the climate of the world right now. So it's I'll find myself just kind of being like, I don't really want to do anything today, and lack of progress is very tough. I mean, obviously, I don't want to put my problems before everyone else's because there are people having worse times than me. But for people at home, kind of trying to understand when you're in a musical kind of performance medium, you thrive off of performing for other people and getting a reaction from them, whether positive or negative, or making people happy from that kind of a thing. And when you can't do that, it is a massive shock to your system. Or at least for me, it's like, oh, there's a big chunk of me gone right now because I can't do that in my life right now, and that really sucks, So when you take that away, it's like, what do you do? And some days I'll just be like, I don't really want to do anything, and that's not me at all because I am constant, nonstop working on something, writing something, video editing, who knows what, art, whatever. I do all that kind of nonsense. So it's like when I notice it, the absence of it, it's like, oh my God, this is really, really getting. I mean, again, I don't want to put my problems before anyone else's because I know everyone is kind of in a boat like that, but it's very weird being more artistically driven and having a deeper connection to that because you're not only listening to music, but you're creating it. So you're not just intaking the emotion, but you're also putting it out, which I think is very important. It's a different dimension to the medium that no one ever really thinks about, whether it's painting or dance or film or fine arts or anything like that. I had a discussion with someone the other day where they're not a musician and I am, and they're trying to kind of tell me, well, this is how it is. And I'm like, well, it's not, though, because listening ears and performance ears are both very, very different.
Yeah.
So that's always kind of tough. But I mean, when because I know, we kind of have the same thing we go through. We always talk about this off mic because no one needs to know our goddamn business.
That's right.
Yeah. Sorry, got really excited just then. But when you kind of, see yourself falling into something like that, especially now where times are just very, very just unforgiving and tough, and this world is in just such a weird, weird place, and we really are kind of just in suspended animation. Like, we're in such a standstill now, and that kills me. What do you kind of do to put yourself at ease with that, musically speaking more so? Do you try to play more? Do you try to just kind of indulge in it more, whether you're like, oh, I want to just work on recording something, I want to film something, or do you kind of try to surround yourself with it? Because, a lot of people are turning to music, and if you notice, there's a lot of popularity with the at-home concerts and, people doing live streams and things like that because their performers are turning to it as well. So, I kind of want your hot take on that, what you're feeling with that. Like, what do you actually do? Because, I mean, I'll talk about the stuff I'm doing, but, I want to hear, William, I want to hear you. You're more fun. You're better.
No, I'm worse. I mean, you kind of said it. I mean, for me, I play more. Anytime, I'm feeling down or, in a rut of some sort, musically or emotionally, I just have to play, you know, and I got to play to enjoy it. It's not like I'm going to be sitting there like, you know, reading through a book or, you know, playing, you know, reading music or anything like that. It's kind of, I don't have anything in mind and I just play, you know, or, you know, listen to, you know, a track that I like and play along with it type of deal.
That's always good.
Yeah. I mean, it just, I'm just trying to like boost morale at this point. And it's the same with listening. I try and go for, you know, some things that really try, you know, inspire me to you know, to do more with music, or if it's recording or whatever I'm trying to accomplish. I try and get that inspiration through watching, you know, stuff on YouTube or listening to some of my favorite stuff. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
I'm sure we've mentioned it, you know, with Victor Wooten kind of saying, like, if you're in a rut of some sort or creative rut, it's more about creating the space.
Yeah.
You know, create that environment that you know, really, you know, get inspired and want to create. It's about, you know, like he said, creating the environment that'll put you in the right headspace, or, you know, get your emotions in line. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just kind of go towards the things that kind of make me happy, or, you know, give inspiration. And then, you know, the work gets done after that, you know.
Yeah.
Then I can really, now I'm focused on, you know, recording or filming or whatever that I'm trying to do. But when you're not there mentally, it's impossible. You know, I don't like to try and forge ahead. I'm wasting time. I'm not getting anything done. You know, things aren't coming out. So you got to just take a step back, you know, and, you know, create that happy place. So, you know, what are some of the things that you try and do?
I mean, you had some really, really good points there. You know, I mean, inspiration can be anywhere or anything. So for me, I've noticed recently I've been kind of finding people doing similar goals as myself, just to be inspired, to be like, oh, someone else is doing it. It's feasible. Like, I'm watching a lot of people just working in recording studios and laying down tracks. Like, that's, for me, is just very relaxing, I guess. And it's like, okay, this is progress kind of moving forward. I've been writing a whole lot, not even just music. And I'd say for anyone in a rut, you should write, because you're stuck thinking in your head all day about any kind of ideas, any kind of issues going on, and they're just going to stay in your head, and they're just going to kind of keep, you know, vortexing around in there. So if you could just write, it doesn't have to rhyme, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be anything like that. Just write anything that you're feeling or anything like that, and you can find some pretty good stuff. And for me, it's great because I'll just start writing things that I'm feeling, and it's like, well, now I can put this into song, and that's even cooler with that, because I think when you're kind of in a bad place, you have a different writing style. And when I say bad place, I mean, like, you know, like a more depressive kind of state. You have a different writing style, which is very interesting than you normally would. So it's almost more rhythmic. It comes from a different place, so it's probably more soulful, whether you intend it to be or not. But that little things like that, and just, you know, aside from writing and things like that, I notice, you know, when I'm in a more depressive state, I'm kind of less organized. So I always, if I can kind of start, you know, straightening up or cleaning and kind of putting order back to things, it usually helps me a little bit, where it's like, okay, gets me back on track, derailed for a second, kind of gets me back. But it's weird how it all kind of ties together, how our brains are wired for this kind of stuff. It's just very bizarre. And this, you know, this just current state of everything just really is kind of testing everyone, I think. With
bizarre is the right
everything.
Word.
It's very, very bizarre. And I always think of these things at times other than this, but this is, you know, a couple months now, and just, you know, people need to just kind of keep holding on and persisting, because the thing is, yeah, you have bad days and you go through some ruts, but there's always good that can come out of it at some point. Like, what good can you get from it? And that's such, like, musically speaking, a positive I guess, optimistic kind of view. But I've become over the time, I've become less optimistic and more realistic. But I do think a positive attitude really does change everything if you can muster it up. And just the idea where it's, more so like, yes, I'm not feeling that great. I'm not all there. But what can I get from this? Like, what can I put this towards? Because that's a lot of powerful energy. And if that just kind of sits in you, I mean, it can exhaust you. It's exhausting doing that kind of thing. So it's like, man, if you could put it towards something and apply it, like, you don't always have to be in a great mood to write music or a great mood to listen to music.
Oh, yeah, right.
But if you can kind of apply it and really get in that right mindset, you can do some just incredible things. I mean, hundreds of years ago to present day, there have been so many great songs written by very sad people, which is so
a lot.
And the stuff hits differently, It really, really, truly does. But it is really weird to have anybody in the arts kind of community and just the connection to emotion, such a big thing, because that's what the thing is. Art is the display of emotion that you can't necessarily speak. It's just it's emotion in like this is gonna sound so stupid and philosophical, but it's emotion in like, I know, it's emotion in just like the rawest form you possibly can have, because it says everything without saying anything at all, which is just really crazy. I mean, Christ, look at Van Gogh. I mean, that was the saddest man in the world, and he came up with some pretty cool paintings, I would say, and just like anyone like that,
right? And it's, I mean, and it doesn't even have to be lyrical.
No, not at all.
You can, like you just said, expressing emotion, but with no words. Yeah, that's the craziest part. I mean, to me at least, is like some of these pieces, like, there doesn't even have to be any lyrics at all, and you can totally grasp how the individual was feeling at the time.
Yeah, which is just insane.
That's wild.
Yeah. And it's the emotion transcends the actual art form, which is just insane. Having to be able to get something from a piece of music or from a painting or anything like that. It's like, that's wild. That's absolutely crazy, because there's no other real, mediums in the world that you can do that besides art. I mean, if you think about it, and
universal language. I've always said that.
Yeah, I know.
It's a way, like, we can always communicate across the globe, and we all, we can't even understand each other's dialect, but if we all listen to, a piece of music, we can kind of grasp what's going on, and that's just mind-blowing to me. But
I agree, and I always think music is the universal language more so than laughter, because laughter is not widely accepted in all of the world, so it's kind of like, I would say
some
more so
music.
Some
crazy laughs, creepy.
Yeah, like the big creepy Joker laughs and stuff like that. But, kind of bouncing back to what Ron said, just him having this notion that he's noticing that he's turning to music more and more. And a lot of people are doing that. It's not even a conscious thing. It's just you're listening to the radio more. Or me, I'm buying more, because I still listen. I'm a grandpa, so I listen to CDs in my car because I have a CD player. I'll go to like our local kind of used record and used CD plays and just buy albums and just listen. Because if I do like anything on my phone or my iPod, I just automatically just start going back to the same 20 songs I've been listening to for the past 30 years.
Yep.
So I can't do that. So it's good. It kind of forced me to listen to a whole album. And it's like, I've been buying a lot of, now I'm literally thinking about it. It's like, I've been buying a lot of records lately and a lot of albums, and just listening a lot more and watching a lot more music videos or just videos of people playing. And you can see, because like any social media we've been on, it's how many live stream concerts have our friends been doing, or how many bigger artists have been doing the live stream songs and stuff. I see every day that I see them. And it's crazy, because it's not just people turning to music to try to find that positivity and channel that, sadness, but with listening, it's people performing, because it's like, we got to get back to the feeling good. But it's weird, because it's like sometimes having that sadder emotion does feel good, because you're using it and it's just so strong, kind of thing. It's such a weird. I'm not a psychologist by any means, as you can see by the doctorate up on my non-existent wall.
I can see it. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, bud.
Is that Microsoft Word?
Yes, it was. It was from a cereal box, and then you fill your name in, and there's stickers on
Perfect.
it. But it's bananas seeing how many artists right now are coming out, people who haven't performed in such a long time and being like, yeah, we're doing live stream songs or live stream concerts or things like that. I mean, even people in film are doing, these script readings and stuff like that from classic movies, and that's super cool because it's like we kind of have to get back to where we were without being there currently, which is just so just bananas. I don't know, man, it's weird. But like, have you, again, we kind of touched upon this in the last episode too, but seeing people having this, craving for live music, and then artists kind of delivering with that, where they're kind of getting back together with these little reunions and stuff like that. I mean, what do you think that's like for some of these bigger artists touring and playing, and now it's like that's just completely cut, and being in a rut like that and being like, what do we do? I mean, what do you think the kind of weight is from that, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, like, we definitely touched on it last episode, but it's, I think it's a relief for some of these guys. I mean, because they've been touring nonstop for years.
That's very true.
And now they finally get a break. So it may be a shock to them, at some point, at least financially, most likely. But
yeah,
at least now they can kind of concentrate on some of the things they want to do and spend some time with family, friends, but still have the ability to still give people what they want in an aspect like that. I mean, yeah, I mean, but it is tough. I mean, you and I are itching to play out.
Oh boy,
I miss it, a ton. So there's a lot of emotions wrapped into that.
Yeah.
But it's nice that we have the technology and the capability to do like these live streams, and it's really cool to see, a lot of these big artists, like you said, like just kind of some of them out of their element. Whether it's acoustically, broken down or it's just them solo, it's kind of neat to see some of them, in a different way.
I agree.
It's really, really nice. I mean, what do you think about it? I think it's it's a big change for some of these people, but I think that maybe, it can be beneficial with their crazy schedule. But
well, I mean, whether you're happy, sad, constipated, or regular, I mean, the real, I mean, the honest to goodness saying is the show must go on. It's we have to be chameleons and adapt. Or I more so say octopus because they have the cool pigmentation camouflage.
They're so much cooler and smarter.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So we have to be octopus metaphorically in this, and we're just kind of adapting to it, and it's very, very important to grow. And whether you're sadder in nature or not, it'll always get better, and that's what I think people really need to kind of understand. So now the question for you is, and I know this is me, have you ever gotten to that point where being artsy fartsy, where you just get in such a rut where no matter what you play or what you're trying to write, you just hate everything you're doing?
All the time.
And it transcends into your everyday non-musical life, whereas you're just so fed up with everything. And you have to kind of try to realign that because you're just in such a depressive rut. And it's funny because my ruts I get in stem from music. It's one of those things where it's like, Superman's planet was made of kryptonite. It's one of those kind of things where it's like your home also hurts you, which I think is really weird.
Yeah.
So it's like music is the literally the most important thing in my life that I have, but it still hits so hard sometimes where it's like I can't handle a lot of it, and it's like, okay, I'm in this weird rut because it's making me hate whatever I'm doing, and it's just now it's crossing over into everything I do, and I'm just very frustrated, and then it takes music to realign all of that and get back to how I was. I mean, have you ever felt that before, or am I just a crazy person like usual?
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. That's exactly it. I mean, I find it a lot in studio work.
Well, it's very meticulous and it has to be very on point, which a lot of people don't know.
And it's like
small margin of error.
100%. And you're, if you're lucky and you're doing it on your own and you got your own schedule going, that's a different scenario. But like if you're recording on a certain day and you got to record a certain time, and if your mojo's not going, is one of the worst things because it's no matter what you play, you're not happy with it.
Oh boy, yeah.
It's the take that they're going to use.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear it forever.
Oh boy, that's my favorite.
So that's always tough for. I mean, you and I, we record with each other often, and we both have our moments where we're not happy with it. And once you're in that mindset, you're kind of sunk.
Yeah,
even though the
much.
other person's like, "Oh, it sounds great," which I'm sure it does to most people, but we're so hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's like this, like you said, it's like this vicious, cycle, and the way we fix it is with more music. Like, how does that make sense?
It doesn't. It not at all.
It doesn't, but that's how it works in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, like for me, it's the studio stuff I get hung up on the most because it's got to be perfect. It has to be done now. I don't have all day. So it's just the stakes are higher.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you feel?
Oh, I agree 1,000% because I mean, you have to use snake venom to make antivenom. Like you have to use it to make the cure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things. And yeah, and you made a great point where we're overly critical of ourselves and we're hard on ourselves as it is normally. So now it's like you throw a depressive rut into it and it's like, well, now just everything sucks. And it probably is not. It probably sounds great what we're doing, but we're just so hypersensitive and on edge, and that, the perfectionist nature is already there, but it's like that kind of stuff falling into a depressive rut like that can really kind of negatively affect not so much your product, but how you're turning it out and your work ethic, for me at least. So it's just like,
yeah,
it's very, very tough. But I think, Ron from New York over there and anybody else listening, the biggest thing I can kind of say is, sadness is natural and it's everyone has to have it, when you have, I guess you can't just have good all the time. There has to be a little bit of negative in there or sadness or something that you wouldn't highly approve, I guess. But it has to be in there to kind of even everything out. It can't just be all up. There are downs, but the thing I think people need to realize is it's not a bad thing if you can kind of realize it and channel it for good or channel it towards something or add it to actually give you a push. But it also is very hard to kind of get to that point. But once you do, it's like, oh, this is going to be some of the greatest stuff you've ever done because it's coming from a different place. Not that I'm telling people to go out and get sad, but it's if you're in that atmosphere, so to speak, it's not necessarily a bad thing because you can still find the good in it. I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was all right. Well, hopefully Ron from New York was able to find some of the answers he's looking for in this kind of thing. And just remember, anyone out there who's kind of sadder with this stuff, you're not alone. There's always other people kind of feeling the same as you. So I would like to say thank you guys so much to listening to the Drop the Beat podcast. If you would like to write in a question, again, go to charleslrita.com/contact and fill out the form. And if we pick it, we will send you a shirt. It'll be great. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. You can wear it on your body. You can wear it as a...
Yes.
You wear it as a hat. It'll be cool, man. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, we have a big orange Patreon button on our website that you can check out. We would greatly appreciate it, and if not, we love you just the same. I can't speak for Will on that one, but at least I'll love you just the same.
I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, I was going to say. But again, guys, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much. This has been the Drop the Beat podcast. I have been Charles Laurita.
And I think I've been Will Sarver.
This whole time?
I think so. I'm getting that vibe.
Good Lord. Anyway,
I'll catch you guys. Sounds great.
I'll catch you guys next week.
See ya.